Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Corbin, and this is my review of the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Now, I did not recap last week's episode, but I did watch it. It was Halloween week. I was in Boston, so there was just no time I was going to get this done. I was catching up with some friends. It was the best time ever. But I was like, you know what? I'll watch this week. We'll watch last week, watch this week, regroup, and we'll go from there. Before we get into this week's episode, I do want to address two things from last week's episode: the whole Lisa and Whitney situation, and then the Heather and Bronwyn situation, of course, because that factors into this week. I'll just say with the Lisa and Whitney situation is this: Lisa should not have approached Justin. But Justin should not have, he didn't have to cuss at her. He didn't have to engage with her. But at the same time, we cannot decide how somebody reacts to a situation, because I'm sure if somebody approached you talking crap about your spouse, you're going to react. Now, John, he didn't have to put hands on Justin, because everyone is acting like when a man gets into it with a woman, they were making a scene. Like, it gets dramatized a little bit depending on the situation. Sometimes it's like, oh no, you're doing too much. But in this situation, I don't think it was that bad. They're making it seem like Justin was about to like mow her down and like drag Lisa across Angie's house. Like, it wasn't that serious. So I understand John stepping in, but he didn't need to put hands on Justin. Like, we didn't have to jump straight to that. Now, with that being said, Lisa has the right to be mad at Whitney. Whitney is doing the absolute most. You came in with this accusation with no proof at all that you got from a podcaster who had to play a game of Clue to get it. It was like, oh, was it the tequila business owner with a bottle of tequila in a dining room? Was it the beauty spot owner with the mascara in the kitchen? Like, we're playing this Clue, and then she keeps saying, I have the proof, and you have no proof. Then she's just being so hypocritical, because it's like, you have the proof, then you have no proof. Then you're like, I'm asking you, but then you're accusing. And then you're like, I'm trying to give you grace, but then you're not doing it. And Meredith summarized, it's like, stop saying you're trying to give her grace. Just do it. Like, just ask her, hey, did you do this? Even though you know you didn't. Like, I would have still been pissed off. But Whitney and Justin are doing absolutely way too much. More so Justin. He is too excited to be involved. He got too excited to invite Jared. Honestly, even though he was pissed off about the whole, physicality thing between him and John, I think he was excited that he was in the mix, because the next day he's just, I'm going to pour out all this alcohol, and now we have beef and it's a rivalry. And I'm just like, get out of here. Even Whitney's looking at you like you're crazy. Like, you are a grown ass man. If it was me, first of all, too, alcohol is expensive, even though Lisa probably I don't know if Lisa would give them that for free, but alcohol is too expensive. Whether it was free or not, if I'm pissed at you, I'm not going to promote it on the camera, but I'm not throwing it out. We're going to drink it when the cameras aren't rolling. Then I'll put it in a cocktail. Or you'll just see it in the glass already mixed in the cocktail. You're not seeing no containers, but I'm not wasting all of that alcohol. But yeah, Justin's way too involved. And even when Whitney and Lisa, after the first time they got into it, when they were standing to the side and they got into it, and Justin was standing next, and like, he jumped into it again, and it's like, this man's husband just pushed you, because you got involved. It's like, you're looking for a confrontation at this point. Like, just butt out of it, let the women handle it. And that right there, I was with John there, because at this point now, we already just got into it, and now you're arguing with my wife again. We're gonna have a problem. Now, how I would have handled that whole situation: one, if my man is getting into it with someone, my first instinct, especially if we're at a party, I'm not about looking like a fool in public, and I'm out to have fun. And I know me too, if somebody gets into it with my man, like, I can get there, and once I get there, there's no coming back. So my first instinct is going to be, let's just de-escalate the situation. Like, if he starts walking to someone else's husband, I'm like, babe, come on. Like, let's go. We're not doing this. But everyone handles things differently. The last thing about this Lisa thing is this, though. Lisa does not care enough about Whitney to go through all of this, creating some like burner X account and researching her jewelry. Lisa does not care about anybody enough to do that. That's too much work. That's going to take away from her doing something for herself or her family. Let's be real. So, I don't know, but I will say this. Lisa is eating these girls up in her confessionals. When she did that confessional, when she's like, you're hoping that your jewelry gets, 1,000 sales or something when this episode airs. Like, She's been eating. There's more things she said. She's been eating the girls up in the confessional, and it's funny. But all right, Heather and Bronwyn, especially coming into this next episode. Heather has been feeling herself since this whole reality Von Teese thing. Now she thinks she is HBIC. She thinks she is the Giselle of Potomac. She thinks she is the Nene of Atlanta. She thinks she's the LVP of Beverly Hills. Like she thinks like she's like the head girl now. And I think her ego, because of that, in between last season and this season, her ego got boosted. Then Bronwyn comes along, and this is exactly why she doesn't like Bronwyn, because Bronwyn has checked her ego. Bronwyn was never going to be in Heather's good graces since that second episode when all three of them were riding in the car and Lisa made Heather sit in the back seat. That was it. Heather was done. She's like, I am not fucking with you now. You can really tell that Lisa admires Bronwyn because the way Lisa treats Bronwyn compared to how she treats everyone else is like drastically different. Bronwyn was coming for her at that game when they were in Milwaukee at that basketball game. And the first thing Lisa did, Lisa was like trying to like talk down and like apologize and stuff like that. And she was using like her indoor voice when had that been anybody else, Lisa would have been flipping out. Then even this situation here at the vacation home, like Bronwyn was kind of going off in the pool. And yeah, like Lisa was kind of like going back with her a little bit, even though Bronwyn was eating that girl up. Lisa was not treating Bronwyn the way she typically treats these other girls because she knows like Bronwyn has the real money and the real, I don't know if she has status in Salt Lake City, but she got the real coin. We know that. But yeah, Heather, she's willing to go against anyone to keep Lisa. And I'm glad that everybody is calling Heather out. Like Bronwyn has called her out. Mary has called her out. Angie's calling her out. Whitney's calling her out. I'm glad everyone's calling her out. The only thing that sucks though is that every time Heather gets called out, she gets to walk away, which is why I cannot wait. I hope they tear her ass up at the reunion. Like, I want you, because Heather's a good arguer. Heather is a good arguer, but I feel like when she gets caught off guard, she gets like stumbled. And even though she's not gonna be off guard at the reunion because she's gonna come in prepared. But I want her to be able to sit there, take everything they're throwing at her, and she not be able to walk away. So we'll see. It ain't gonna happen, but. The other part of it, too, is I think Heather is mad at Bronwyn because Bronwyn has Lisa's, attention. Also, Heather and Bronwyn, if you really think about it, they are like the same exact person. The only difference is Bronwyn is playing the game a little bit better right now. But they're the same person pretty much. And I'm actually shocked that they're not getting along. Not really, because the way Heather been acting. But it would have been really nice if they got along because the two of them, the way Heather's mouth is set up, like I said, when Heather is on, she is on. And the way Bronwyn is set up, when Bronwyn is on, she is on also. I know a lot of people probably feel like, oh, Bronwyn has been on all the time. She hasn't, because I'm going to tell you a few things that's wrong with her in a second. But yeah, they both are the same person. Bronwyn is just playing a better game right now. Heather and Whitney, they just have this pattern of just gaslighting and using buzzwords, which is all Heather did on that last sit down. She just was gaslighting Bronwyn. She's using buzzwords. She's like, oh, mom's upset to my stomach, this, that, and the third. Like, Heather is good at doing these things, and I still hate that she walked away. Now, although Heather was doing the most, I'm going to kind of knock Bronwyn for a few things. One, that apology that Bronwyn was trying to like throw out there was not a good apology. If you're gonna apologize, just lead with a flat out apology. You don't sit there and start explaining away yourself and then asking for an apology afterwards. That's not how it works. If you really want to apologize and make it work, apologize, see where it goes from there. If Heather doesn't apologize, then you pull out the card, of whatever you want to do or however you want to respond, but apologize first. You went in there trying to control the entire narrative of this is how this sit down is going to go. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to, come at Heather and be like, hey, you've been doing the same thing. And then I'm going to get an apology out of her. Then I'm going to invite her on the trip. Bronwyn tried to keep this very controlled, and you can't do that. Then Bronwyn starts throwing out all these other things like the whole prenup thing and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, girl, like you're starting to lose me. I thought Heather was doing the most at first. When I first watched it, I was like, okay, Heather, you're absolutely doing the most. Like you came in there talking shit. You're like, oh, my stomach is hurting. I can't do this. I'm disgusted. I'm leaving. Like I thought Heather was doing the most the first time I watched it. Now, I watched it a few more times. She still is doing the most, but I kind of understand why she reacted the way she reacted now. Because I'm like, okay, like, that was a shitty apology, Bronwyn. Like I said, you should have just led with an apology. But no, you start explaining away yourself first. Then you apologize. And it was kind of like a half-ass apology. Then you ask her for an apology and you start talking about all the shit Heather is doing. And I'm just like, that's not how you apologize to somebody. Then you bring up the whole prenup situation back in Milwaukee. And it's just like, you're singling Heather out for that. But everyone bought it. Brittany was the one that started it. And then everyone, as soon as you said, oh, we don't have a prenup, everyone was like, what? What? Like, everyone was asking questions. Minus Meredith, who shut it down. She was like, hey, this is a tricky situation. Don't do it. Which we'll get into Meredith in a second. Finally, she has a storyline. But it's like, Bronwyn was kind of doing the most. She was kind of doing the most. She was trying to control the situation. So after watching a few times, Heather was still doing the most also. But I'm like, okay, I see now. It didn't feel as authentic as I thought it did the first go around. So I'll give Heather that. Now, the other thing is where Bronwyn fucked up at is this. You shouldn't have invited Heather to your house to do this. You should have just invited Heather on the trip in the first place instead of waiting to see, because the other part of this is this. I feel like Bronwyn, she's been doing so good that it feels like this is not her first season. But then she does little things and you're like, okay, like, girl, I can tell this is your first season. They're trying to control the scenes, not inviting Heather. Because let's be real, like, when you have a cash trip, when y'all are beefing, you invite the girls you're beefing with too. Angie invited Meredith to her anniversary party. And Meredith still showed, like, you do what you have to do for the drama. So the fact that you didn't invite Heather and you brought her over for the intention of you're going to apologize or, you know, you're not coming, I'm like, okay, girl, like, this is not how this works. Like, you're trying to control the narrative right now and you can't do that. But that's neither here nor there. I done talked more about my feelings from last week's episode than I was expecting, but this season it has really been good. Like, every single episode. And it's just when I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a slower episode, like something happens and I'm like, okay, like, this is good. We can roll with this. But the episode opens up with Heather, Meredith, Lisa. It starts off with Meredith and Lisa meeting, but then Heather joins them. They talk about the whole sit down, and Heather's, just telling her side of the story. We don't even get Bronwyn's side because Lisa and Meredith don't even care at this point. At this point, the lines are starting to, they're starting to thicken because Heather's talking about the whole Bronwyn thing. Lisa piggybacks off of it, and she's like, I just feel like Bronwyn was, when she was asking me, am I going to be okay? Because Whitney and Justin are coming. I'm just like, my husband's a CEO, and I just felt offended. And it's like Lisa now is trying to show that, hey, Heather, like, I'm loyal to you too. I'm starting to feel some type of way about the stuff Bronwyn is doing. Okay, girl. Okay. If anything, you need to put your cards with Bronwyn and not, I don't know. Because like I said, Heather and Bronwyn are starting to seem like the same. The more I watch it now and the more I start watching things back, Heather and Bronwyn are kind of seeming like the same person, except Heather's much worse. Like, at least Bronwyn is tolerable. But she brings that up, and I will say this is the other part of it too, and I think it goes into Bronwyn being too controlling. Bronwyn was checking on them way too much. She, was checking on Lisa on a FaceTime call saying like, hey, like, are y'all going to be okay? Then I want to say when they got on the plane, she was like asking Whitney, like, where do you want to sit? Is everything going to be okay? Where do you want to sit? Then they get to the house and Lisa's just off like looking for a room. And she's like, Lisa's on the other side. And is everything okay? And I feel like Bronwyn was just like, she was too concerned and she was too aware. And it's like, girl, just relax. Everyone's going to sit where they want to sit. Everyone knows who they don't like and who they do like. So if they need to separate, they're going to separate. Like, I'm sure Lisa's going to get on the plane and be like, I'm not sitting next to this bitch, and go to the other side, So it's just like Bronwyn was just too concerned about the whole situation. These are my issues with Bronwyn. I'm going to just summarize it like this. She's a good arguer. She has a real storyline. I'm going to start with that. But she gets too worked up about things. She gets too concerned. When Heather left the house, like, she got upset. When Lisa invited, what is that girl's name? Brittany? Not Brittany. I know Brittany. It's the other girl. Maylee, whatever that girl's name is. When Lisa invited them to go do the ice thing while they went to the beer caves. Bronwyn made a comment about, oh, I guess I'm not on Lisa's like A team. Then with the whole situation with them getting into at the end, like you leave and you're upset and you're about to burst into tears. So it's like you can't handle certain things. You worry too much, and then it's like you carry yourself like this established housewife, but you're not too established yet because then you forget to do things like invite the person you're beefing with on your trip, so you have more, drama. But when we get to the end, I'm like, okay, I see why she didn't invite Heather because Lord, Heather would have been on the first plane. Heather wouldn't even have made it. Heather would not have made it off the plane. She would have made it out the airport because they would have gotten to the airport. Todd would have been like, nope, I got a black car for you. You're getting shuffled. You're getting escorted home. You're getting driven home. So I kind of see why she didn't, but I'm like, girl, this is a TV show, you know? But yeah, Meredith brings up Sean talking about Brooks. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be real. I don't like Brooks, but everyone is bringing up everybody's kids. Lisa's bringing up Angie's kids. Angie's bringing up Lisa's kids. Now we got Sean bringing up Meredith's kid. And it's like everyone's bringing up everybody's kids. Whether they're grown or not grown, everybody's bringing up everybody's kids. And it's just like, it is what it is at this point. But now, don't be upset when Meredith comes back and she start dragging y'all with all these rumors and she go into her DMs and stuff like that and start dragging your family. Don't be upset now because, you did it. Whether he grown or not and Angie's, kid is grown or not, it doesn't matter. I know Brooks is grown and Angie's kid isn't. Doesn't matter. Everyone's kids is everyone's kids. You're not going to care how old your kid is. If somebody's coming at your kid, you're going to do something about it. So when Meredith starts swinging y'all every which way but loose with some rumors, I don't want to hear it. But yeah, we get to the trip. They get to the airport, get on the plane. This private jet was nice. It was big compared to that private jet that Whitney had them on going to Milwaukee. And see, Mary must have knew that first time. Because remember, she called Whitney and was like, I'll get there. How I get there, I'm not about to be squeezed on this little, plane with 19 of y'all on there. Knowing Mary, because remember, Mary called Trixie. She called the Trixie Motel. Mary is the type of person that she's calling all these places first. So she probably called the airport to see what kind of plane Whitney had rented. She went on Google. I don't even know if Mary know how to use Google, but she went on the internet. She looked it up somehow. Had her son do it, had somebody do it. She looked it up and was just like, oh no, this plane is too small. I'm not going. See, Bronwyn's plane was a nice size. But they get on a plane, they go. And I just feel like the entire trip, there was too much emphasis on the tension. We know the tension is there. Just leave it. But it's like the tension just kept getting brought up. And I'm just like, we get it. Just let it happen naturally. Like, if it's real tension, we can feel it through the TV. And we can tell it's real tension. So just leave it. But everyone kept bringing it up, particularly Bronwyn. Meredith, she almost had a piece of a storyline, which was shocking. Seth comes up to her and he's like, yeah, I got to leave tomorrow morning. Y'all, if my man would have did that, everybody would have got kicked off this trip. Everybody is not even my trip. Because I'd have been fighting with everybody. Like, I'd have been pissed. Like, you just got home. And granted, you have a job that travels a lot. But I just need you for this one weekend. And it's not even just that. Even if it was an issue, the fact that he's telling her right then and there says a lot about their communication. Because there's no way I'm going to come on a trip and my husband's, tells me while we're on the trip, hey, I got to leave early. That would never happen. So that was just crazy to me. But they should have, and this is the other thing, going back to, Bronwyn, they should have invited Brittany. This is supposed to be a couple's trip. Brittany got a man. Shit, she got two. She should have bought both of them. Come on, y'all, that would have been good. That would have been real good if Aaron and Jared were there. I would have been there for it, because at least she got a storyline. She got a storyline and she got a man. But instead, we got Meredith here with her no storyline and barely a husband. And this is what we're getting. But she should have invited Brittany. She should have invited Heather. Anyone else? We don't need Maylee. Yeah. We need them two at least, just to keep the story going. Even though there's been a lot of drama. Like I said, it's been a good season, but we could have had them. So Bronwyn ends up having a jeweler come to see them. And did y'all notice? I didn't see anyone buy any jewelry. Okay. And the way the jeweler was acting, you could tell she was pissed. She knew she was coming out there, drove 4 hours out there just for y'all to look at it. And then you go, oh, yeah, we're going to go, over here and decide. And first of all, girl, you're not walking away with my jewelry. I don't care how big of a house you're staying in or who you say you are. You could decide right here in front of me. And I got my little ATM, my little credit card reader right here. You can do it and pay right here, girl. Is it Amex or are you taking out a loan? What are we doing? But while she's doing that, I will say the funny part of it is Angie and her man, the ball is in the freaking lake. Angie's trying to get it, and they're making all these like sexual noises. You just, uh, ooh, ah, and he's like, "You got it, baby. There it is." And the jeweler's just looking like, "Y'all done made me drive 4 hours here. You're not buying any jewelry." And then we got people probably having sex on the other side of the backyard. She's like, "What is going on here?" That was funny. It was a good moment. So the girls all hanging out. They loosen up a little, which I thought they were going to loosen up a little at least, by taking some Vita tequila shots, which I wonder how Vita tequila tastes. I'm very interested. I was actually in Salt Lake City, what was that, in August? And when I went to one of the restaurants, I was like, oh, is it on the shelf? I didn't know what the bottle looked like, so I had to Google it. They didn't have it there, long story short. A few places I went to, I didn't see it there, so I'm assuming Lisa probably bases her appearances on the show around who's serving Vita, because I didn't see that any of the places. Now, mind you, I wasn't eating out like every single night, but I didn't see no Vita there. But they do that to loosen up. Bronwyn steps away for 0.2 seconds, and they're FaceTiming Heather. And Heather was probably sitting at home like, oh, the girls, yes, finally. I hope I get a little bit of compensation for this episode since I'm only on the FaceTime. But Heather answers, they're talking to her like, oh, we miss you and stuff like that. Bronwyn comes back and she's like super upset. And this is my problem again. It's like sometimes Bronwyn is on and then sometimes she is too sensitive. You shouldn't have reacted. Don't let the girl see you sweat. Like, I want to react. I'm like, oh, hey, girl. Like, I would have hyped the trip up even more. I'm like, we are having so much fun. This is great. I would have taken the phone from Lisa. Like, if you want to be a real bad bitch, take the phone from Lisa. Like, hey, girl, like, let me show you the house. And I would have showed her the house. After I kicked you out my house and you came for me and I didn't invite you. Yeah, I'm going to show you the house myself. I would have showed her the house. But Bronwyn, she gets too worked up too easily sometimes. And so she gets super upset and she's just like super rattled. And so they start going back and forth. And Bronwyn's pretty much calling out Lisa on her shit. It's just like, y'all have listened to Heather's side of everything. Y'all have not listened to my side. It's just we're going to listen to Heather's side and then come to you and tell you, oh, hey, like you're misunderstanding. This is not how it worked. Like, no, like no one has checked to see what my side of the story is. It's just Heather, 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 Heather. Then on the flip side of it, though, Lisa tries to spin it. She's like, well, you haven't been a good friend to me. And this is where Bronwyn is so strategic. She's really been in her bag. She was defending Lisa earlier on in the episode when Angie and I don't know if it was earlier on this episode or last episode, but they were all walking in the park and they were talking shit about Lisa. Bronwyn defended her. Bronwyn brought up about how when Lisa and Whitney got into it at Angie's house, Bronwyn checked on her. So Lisa, she's just throwing shit at the wall, hoping it sticks, and nothing is sticking. So they're going back and forth, and Bronwyn is upset. Bronwyn is getting her together, and Todd is in the background just like, wish I had a little mustache. And my thing is this. I understand it's a reality TV show, but I understand Todd's side of it too, because earlier in the episode, Bronwyn was facing Todd and he was in like Korea or something. I'm not flying all the way from Korea overseas to come on vacation with you bitches just to fight. He was probably on that flight for like 14 hours, had to fly to Salt Lake City, get on a private jet from Salt Lake City to Palm Springs or wherever we are. And then y'all are just fighting. Like, no, I am tired. I'm a real businessman. I make a lot of money. No, no, I'm not dealing with this. So he's like, and I like it though, because I will say this, like that's a natural, we keep saying, oh, it's reality TV. This is supposed to happen. This is what's supposed to happen. But that was a very natural reaction. So granted, I'm like, come on, like I need some mess to happen on this trip and you better not be stopping the mess. I do like that his reaction was authentic. He's like, I'm a businessman. I was on a plane for 37 hours before I got here. I don't want to hear you bitches fighting. I worked all week. I need a real vacation. Okay, not a reality TV vacation. Because you know, a reality TV vacation is just work. He's like, I need a real vacation. So he eventually, Bronwyn goes inside. She's upset. She's rattled. And I'm like, girl, why are you still getting so rattled? Like last year, Angie popped up on a trip. Imagine if Angie would have popped up on this trip. Bronwyn would have probably collapsed. You know, like last year, Angie popped up on the trip uninvited, made a t shirt, attended all the events, and got in some real drama. You know, and it's like that's the part of being a housewife. So it's like Bronwyn, you can't just take the messy sides of being a housewife and not be able to take the rest. You know, but she's in there rattled. Whitney's checking on her. Todd walks in finally. He's like, you know what? I'm not doing this. So he goes to John and he's like, John, if Lisa can't get it together, y'all need to bounce. And I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen now because, like I said, it goes back to Lisa respects Bronwyn's status. I'm sure what's gonna happen is this: it was left on to be continued. Lisa's husband's gonna go talk to Lisa. Hey, this is what was said or whatever. Lisa's gonna go to Bronwyn. They're gonna make up. They're gonna be fine. They're not even gonna make up probably, but Lisa's gonna do what she needs to do to smooth it over so she can stay on this trip. Because one, they're in a big ass house. They're flying private. You're going on a trip that the rich are paying for. You know, and so yeah, she's staying on that trip. She's not gonna do anything else. So I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And watch, I'm going to be right because every time they leave it on to be continued, it's usually something predictable. I hate that they've been doing this a lot. Like Bravo has been doing a lot of to be continued. They've been doing it every week on Potomac. They've done it probably like 2 weeks here, which here I will say it's been deserved a little bit, but just show us the preview. Just end the episode how you end it and just show us the preview of next week because you doing a to be continued is not going to change if we're going to tune in or not. So just leave it at that. But yes, y'all. That is my review on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Like, comment, describe. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Bye, y'all.